Now death was transitioning into everything. Phoenix saw that the first level button was a light, but was being stubborn. But then at last, the elevator moved down. But Phoenix wasn't done. He continued to do the mock gestures of what the bad guy wanted for Phoenix, and he pressed the second level button and went back up to the second level. And he realized the Snake Angel was testing the bad guy. Go ahead and cut the pulley. Go ahead and let the elevator fall. And Phoenix went back down and noticed that the elevator was getting extremely hot, and he was grateful when he got to leave, and he felt a shadow over him, and Phoenix went toward the escalator with the Snake Angel still screaming in the mall, and Phoenix continued to do the mock gestures, and when he was near the top on the escalator, he realized that it was because he was making the bad guy so mad. Only moments away from falling off the escalator, rolling down one step by step and hitting his head, cracking it open, but a force prevented that from happening, and Phoenix saw that a man dressed in black and bald was kneeling down next to Phoenix, on the step below, being strong and making sure that Phoenix made it, that he survived. Death himself was definitely needed now that the bad guy was so pissed and was going to stop at nothing to kill Phoenix. Death, who had seen everything that the bad guy had ever done, had seen all the horrible murders and crimes that had taken place in his life. Death, who was going to make sure that Phoenix stayed safe, and it made Phoenix happy that he wasn't alone in this, and he was almost at the top, and he skipped one step dangerous as he could have tripped, but the Snake Angel spat cheated at Death, and it was cheated. Phoenix didn't fall on the step at all, and Phoenix had never felt so intrigued by this strange event. It wasn't a hallucination. He had really just seen Death himself. And things were soon going to get very crazy and violent, but Death was ready. Phoenix felt it, that freaking reverence toward Phoenix. Death showed so much. Phoenix knew Death would stop at nothing to make sure that he kept Phoenix safe. Death, who had seen the murderer stab Phoenix multiple times. Death, who knew that Phoenix thought about suicidal pain more than anything, understood it was, unfortunately, an integral part to Phoenix. Death, who knew how much Phoenix had suffered and loved him for making Death in himself. Death, who had held Phoenix's hand all the time he suffered but kept him safe as well, and Phoenix continued to walk, realizing that his hood was up, and he thought of Maxwell and knew that the bad guy would try to target that innocent Maxwell, but Death was already a million steps ahead of it, and for a moment Phoenix saw the bad guy, but then saw a black shadow get in front of him, and he disappeared, and then Phoenix saw the bad guy again, and this time he was holding a knife that was hooked like a Sith, but Death got in the way of that as a black cloud, and the bad guy disappeared, and Phoenix suddenly felt afraid even though he had Death to help him. And the Snake Angel continued to shout, and that was when Phoenix passed a bookshop, and he saw in the window a book called When the Sun Stood Still, and Phoenix knew it had just been written and displayed for Phoenix to see, because Phoenix had stood still because he was doing so many things that were going to forever shatter the way things were done. Standing up for nature, preventing the gate from shutting, stopping the bad guy from murdering the world, which he wanted, summoning Death, even because the world needed to know that Death helped them so much, helped so many innocent people, or at least was there to provide some hope, even if only in spirit, even if the people never saw Death. And Phoenix thought about his pathetic state of being and wished that he was a cooler kid, wished that he was someone people appreciated, but no one did except for friends he couldn't even talk to. Perhaps he had Death, but he couldn't talk to Death because he was working, and it made Phoenix laugh how pathetic he was, and that thinking he had friends. It wasn't that he didn't have friends, it was just that they were all so caught up in their stuff that they couldn't talk to him, but that was fine because there were worse things, and Phoenix knew that things were going to change, and there would be nothing he could do about those changes, as he realized that not only was he holding his MP3 player, which was synonymous, no, it wasn't even synonymous, was his black charred dead heart, and it sucked, but that was the way it needed to be. His heart was ruined. There was no hope within that black death. But anyway, Phoenix also realized he was holding the book he saw in the window, which was When the Sun Stood Still, and Phoenix understood that he was definitely being his sunny self right now, because he was glowing like a trillion stars, infinitely brighter than any kind of hell or heaven, and it was amazing, and people were staring at him, and they knew that things were going to happen soon, and Phoenix loved kids, and he wanted to talk to kids, but he felt the Snake Angel screaming through him right now, screaming so many things. Why the hell do none of you work with Phoenix? Why do all see him as useless, a useless son of a bitch with no purpose? The yelling and screaming, the shouting so loud, seemingly never going to stop. Everyone seeing Phoenix glowing even brighter. God saved the people of the world. Not that God existed, but he needed to save the people. He needed to bless them because everyone was going to eventually burn in a horrible blinding light. that was forever going to destroy, that was forever going to change the way things happened. Why do all of you just ignore this kid? There is a reason why he craves love. It's supposed to be a safety valve, but all of you spit on it. All of you ignore except for innocent kids who understand him. But they are always hidden by their ill-conceived, overly protective parents. Why does no one trust Phoenix? Why does everyone expect him to fend for himself when he serves all of you so much and you could care less about that? All the miracles he sheds on a daily basis like my snake skin, all the tears he cries at your expense, he's a symbol for a reason. Why don't you let him fly? And the snake angel continued to scream forever and forever, 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 and he wouldn't stop forever. He refused to stop, and Phoenix felt that he was going to have his voice box torn out in a moment by the angry parents that believed Phoenix was yelling at their kids when he wasn't yelling at them at all. He was yelling because he was sick of the way things were going. But that was, of course, the catch, was that Phoenix wasn't yelling. It was the snake angel, but they wanted to blame Phoenix. Why do all of you act so fucking stupid when there's so much you can do because you only care about promoting hatred and spreading the world apart? In despair to be like shattered pieces. I thought so. I fucking thought so. All of you could care less about any of these good things that happened because of the street kid's sacrifice. All of you live in your comfortable houses. And why do you let Phoenix roam the streets? Because you want to kill him. I thought so. You could care less about any of these beautiful gifts he's giving you. Thankfully, he doesn't mind living on the streets, just another street kid, but that's the way it needs to be, I guess. But why do you hate him? Because it's better to watch Phoenix, the gift bearer, the one who only wants to help, suffer, like stabbing the heart right in the core, like stabbing the center of the universe. He is unimportant. Son, don't you get it? Don't you understand how important he is? But of course, not you. Just treat him this way because you see no other point and because you hate how he helps you. I thought so. I thought so. You couldn't just say that from the get-go. It would have been easier if you just told him this from the beginning, you cowards, if you just let him know right off the bat. The good thing is he wants to die, you fuckers. He wants to kill himself, but he values life and he sees, unfortunately, his own in a twisted way. He's already so fucked up, you cowards. He already feels so hopeless, helpless. Why don't one of you come and kill him? Why don't you talk your kids into killing him? I thought so. I thought all of you can't even wrap the noose around his neck in person. You're too cowardly. You have to rely on more discreet methods. I thought so. More cowardly ways to torture someone who carries your weight, someone you spit on again and again because you think it's fun, someone you stab. And why? I thought so. I thought, why do you act? I thought so. Why do I fucking thought so? You cowards, I spit on all of you. I am Phoenix's disconnected rage, and you're going to hear every word until it murders you, and the kids are just fine, Phoenix. Don't worry, you're yelling loud, but they hear the secret message. They understand. And Phoenix realized that police officers were now trying to arrest him by being surprisingly gentle, but Phoenix knew soon they were going to burst out of their cage and torture him. He felt their ill will, but Phoenix just asked the Snake Angel for help, hoping that he could help Phoenix, hoping someone would, because Phoenix had gone too far. If only someone could help Phoenix, if only they could protect him from all of these endless evils that pile and pile upon each other, but no one was there. And so Phoenix, realizing that he was now inside a clothing store, stepped out and then told the officer that he wasn't trying to resist arrest, but that he was scared. Why didn't the police officer see that Phoenix was crying now internally? He was bleeding as well, and it wouldn't stop. It couldn't stop because he hurt so bad, and it wouldn't stop. It would never stop. Phoenix just wanted love. Why was that so hard to see in things? And suddenly the officer grabbed Phoenix by the hands and shoved him onto the ground and began to beat his fragile face against the awful concrete, and Phoenix felt blood trickling down. And the officer was also cussing at Phoenix and telling him that he was a loser, that he didn't deserve harassment. Excessive force, excessive force. You'll never get anywhere, Phoenix, you dumb shit. Let your demons come and taunt you. Your Snake Angel rage will ultimately collapse on you. He can't protect you. Just die already, you bastard. The MP3 player getting smashed to bits, but somehow keeping itself together. Dear God, the officer was trying to destroy Phoenix's heart, but it made sense at least. They weren't having a heart attack while standing up for what they believed in. That Phoenix deserved to suffer severely, and Phoenix felt death casting a dark shadow over him, because this could very well end in death. The officer could very well shoot Phoenix twice or 3 times or 4 times in the head and continue shooting like yelling, and the officer wouldn't stop screaming, cussing, and Phoenix realized that he was going to die soon enough because the officer could shoot him and get away with it, and there wouldn't be anything wrong with that because he was an officer of the law. And the thing was, it would actually kill Phoenix because the kid with wings just didn't have any more strength. He just couldn't fly, not when they were broken, and Phoenix understood that he was like so many other sons in this world, living barefoot or in socks on the cold, jagged, rugged, rock-strewn street that was going to be that way forever, always starving. And Phoenix loved the other sons, which wasn't always homeless people like so many sons he'd never seen before, but also his friends like Maxwell and the Wolf Kid and the Lion Cub. So many of his friends, they were all sons and they were with him right now, even though it didn't seem that way. And it gave Phoenix hope because he realized that he was happy, even though he was so sad, happy because he wasn't completely alone. They were all giving him warmth. He felt them, and so were kids who understood where Phoenix was coming from and weren't afraid anymore. And Phoenix felt like these kids, and the officer realized that he couldn't shoot Phoenix because it would create too much of a spectacle. People might actually murder the officer, even if he got away with the crime, especially if he got in the way. So the officer only handcuffed Phoenix extremely tightly, to the point to where Phoenix thought that his wrists were going to cave in, but they thankfully didn't. And Phoenix now felt incredibly alone. He only imagined the warmth, he only imagined all of that, but he still had to believe. He wanted to believe what was going on, the pain. Why was the pain still there? The warmth, the pain. And the officer slammed open the door to the cop car that had literally come out of nowhere. And Phoenix now wished more than anything that the world would change, that Phoenix's situation could change, that he could just influence and shine his light the way that he was meant to, but couldn't, because he had people like Death protecting Death, who represented all that was wrong with the world, human nature and chance and fate. Death, who fought to protect people who couldn't protect themselves. And it was funny, Phoenix was thinking of change, because the cop shoved Phoenix's face into the change on the cop car seat, and Phoenix saw pennies and nickels and dimes. And that was when he shook his head, both adamantly and ever so confused, because what were they talking about? How did they always know what Phoenix wanted, what he felt within? How did they always know all of these goddamn coincidences? Mind-boggling. And Phoenix then watched as he saw every one of his favorite books floating beside him outside the cop car, such as The Road. And Phoenix knew that the road he really needed was the one that he needed to walk himself, that people wouldn't let him walk. Sure, he was a street kid, now a jailed street kid, but he was a kid who was meant to walk a specific road, and they wouldn't let him. And Phoenix saw other books like The Once and Future King and Catcher in the Rye and Time Skipper, and Phoenix was glad to see them there, reminding Phoenix of what he stood for, reminding him of his true values. And Phoenix said that he needed the Black Queen because he still felt extremely confused that things were going to change for the worse. And so he said, I need the Black Queen, and he remembered that she could turn into electronic devices like a black cellular phone. And as soon as he said this, he saw the computer in the cop car light up as soon as he said, I need the Black Queen, and he hoped that she could work her magic and keep him safe. And the door opened, and the cop said, okay, we'll let you go if you promise to never come back. And he also said subtextually, subliminally, you've already fucked up so much of what we had planned with this mall, so much that we had planned for your demise and your own white death, and now you've ruined it. So if you promise to never come back, we'll let you go. And even though Phoenix knew this was a lie, a huge lie, he could also see some truth in it. And now he would go everywhere. He would go to California. He would finally go to Phoenix, Arizona. He would go to New York. He would go to Michigan. He would go to so many other states. But he would also travel places like Canada and hopefully overseas and go to places as cool as France. Perhaps meet Gavroche there in his true style, go to places like Italy and Spain, and so many other cool places. And Phoenix realized that this was true on one level, but on an unattainable level, because soon things were going to be very bad, as a new cop got in the car, and Phoenix realized it was the Lion Cub. Phoenix hadn't noticed, but the Lion Cub was this whole time keeping the other police officer in check. With his mind games, just with his mind, he made sure that Phoenix stayed safe, made sure that the would-be killer that was a cop didn't do too much damage to Phoenix, keeping out so many of his bad thoughts. And Phoenix felt a connection with him as Phoenix asked, where is my MP3 player? And the Lion Cub said proudly, but without turning, and ever so friendly with his manner, it's in your pocket. And Phoenix knew that his heart was still safe, and it gave him hope. It made him believe that it wasn't over, even though he was going to go to jail. And if they wanted, they could keep him there forever, and if they wanted, they could torture him there forever. But Phoenix was going to keep himself in line, because it was the better thing to do. And Phoenix saw the book when the sun stood still sitting beside him, and he wasn't sure how it had gotten beside him, but he didn't care. He also noticed the change was gone, which made sense. Nothing was really going to change. The Lion Cub was only making sure Phoenix stayed alive, nothing else. But Phoenix still lay his head against the back, glad the Black Queen and the Lion Cub were together again. It was a good thing. I'm so tired. I just need a break. I just need a place to rest my head.